The college football experience, Southern Miss Golden Eagles 2024 season preview episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up, and when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to score up to $250 in bonus cash. They just introduced college football best ball, folks. Get on over there. And remember, as always, to let it ride. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM.
This is Jim Mora, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Welcome to the college football experience. Southern Miss Golden Eagles 2024 season preview, and it is a big year in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Some say the original Rock. Welcome to the Rock. That's my Sean Connery. YouTube.com/the college experience. I guarantee you my picks are better than my Sean Connery impersonations. So hop on over there, hit that like and subscribe button as we're breaking down all 134 teams in the land. And I would say this is a pivotal year. This program growing up, they were the original Boise State. So I mean, in the 90s, they would get Alabama, Alabama, Auburn, Mississippi State, and Ole Miss often. I feel like Jeff Bauer had this thing rolling, and obviously you had Brett Favre and his blood money there. But there was a receiver also named Michael Jackson way back in the day that was a baller. Going to talk all about what they can do to get back to that day and age because, man, 12-team playoff now. Southern Miss they've had a good program for like 40 years now. It's teetered off over the past decade. But this should be a team that's in the mix for the CFP every single year. They got to get it back on track. We're going to talk all about it. We're going to talk about the offense, defense, special teams, and go game by game on the schedule. But first, you're probably wondering just who the hell you're listening to. My name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, a.k.a. Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I smoke and I drink and I don't have stress and I'm healthy.
Nobody knows nothing. Somebody knows. Double the price, but no one touches Dundee.
They let me down last year. I thought this team was gonna. I thought they were destined for another bowl and to build on that again. But they have been hit with the injury bug over the years. Maybe this is the year. I am joined by my co-host. You heard him on many of these previews. YouTube.com/the college experience. He's also writing a ton of great college football content on sportsgamblingpodcast.com. He's also the host of the MLB Gambling Podcast and the NBA Gambling Podcast. Give it up for Lonte Smith. How are you doing, man?
Doing pretty good, man. It feels good to be a step closer to actual, live, meaningful football. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. We got a couple of days away, and yeah, man, it's been fun breaking down these teams with you. So I'm glad to come on and break down Southern Miss today.
Let's go. And this is the one where you wonder. This is one of the ones. I've made this case, and I feel like a broken record because we're previewing every team in the Sun Belt. We're at the end of the Sun Belt right now, and pretty much 120 previews are out on YouTube. Probably about 90 are out on Spotify and iTunes. But I've been saying this all year. Someone's going to get some wins that we're not seeing. There's a lot of turnover in this damn conference. ULM, JMU, Troy, South Alabama, Georgia State, all breaking in new head coaches. You got former conference player of the year Grayson McCall leaves Coastal Carolina. You got some coaches like Butch Jones and Will Hall and a few others, Ricky Ronnie, that could be on the hot seat if they don't win this year. So it's a pivotal time, but I almost feel like one of those teams with continuity, Charles Huff, I'll throw in there, could one of these teams, I think, should be able to capitalize on all that turnover.
Yep.
Could it be Southern Miss and Will Hall? Because I'll be honest, I was bullish on the hire when they hired him. I thought this would work out, and youtube.com/the college experience. We throw up some slides there, but Will Hall is 69 and 44 in 9 years as a head coach. He played quarterback at Murray State in North Alabama. He coached under, really what I was impressed by was he was a head coach on many levels before at West Georgia and North Alabama, but he coached under Willie Fritz and Mark Hudspeth and Mike Norvell, who I think are all decent football coaches. So I was like, oh, they got a guy that I think can get him to the promised land. And I was buying into that. I really was. I cashed on the over 2 years ago. So year one, he goes 3-9. Year two, he goes 7-6. They win the Lending Tree Bowl that we all remember. And then, I was expecting like 6-6 a season ago, 7-6 again, 3-9. And, that was his first lose. I mean, I shouldn't say that. Year one, I'm not going to blame him for the losing season because you're coming into a bad situation. But year three, this is just the second losing season in his career. What do you make of Will Hall in this program right now?
Like Will Hall, man, I think he's done a decent job. It's just that he just hasn't had the best injury look. I mean, he was playing Frank Gore at quarterback for basically a year and a half, and that's your best player. I mean, you got punters playing in the backfield, like it's all over the place. So, I mean, obviously disappointed from last year after that 7-6 and a bowl win. But I mean, the talent has been there. Obviously, a rich talent state there, and I mean, I think this is a big year for him. I mean, he's got to upgrade. I know we'll talk about it. He's got to upgrade at quarterback. He actually has one that can be respected, coming down from I think he's a former 5-star or a high 4-star, one or the other. But I'm looking forward to seeing if they can keep him upright. Need some of these skill position guys to step up. But overall, I like Southern Miss. I'm just interested to see how they put it all together under a new scheme with Chip Long. Yeah, me too. Chip Long, the new OC, Clay Bignell, the DC. I think it's bowl game or bust. I think if he doesn't make a bowl game, he's fired. But this is why I'm like maybe there's value in this team. Let's talk a little bit about it. But first, I want to say that the College Football Experience Southern Miss Golden Eagles season preview episode, we're part of this. Is brought to you by the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. We are part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Everything in the merch store is 10% off with the promo code football. Look, it's football season, but you can still go get an MLB gambling podcast t-shirt, that fly logo they have there, or a Pick Dundee t-shirt, or a Patty C t-shirt. You get yourself a Patty C t-shirt or a College Football Experience t-shirt. You've been listening to all these previews. Get on over there and buy yourself. You're getting a discount right now. Promo code football. Get on over there. You can get that sportsgamblingpodcast.com or the SGPN app, which is free to download in the App Store and Google Play Store. Back talking Southern Miss football, and look, we've been doing this exercise with Group of 5 teams. You take the best win since the turn of the century, and in my opinion, like Southern Miss hasn't been as good. Like in the 80s and 90s, they were really fucking good. In the 2000s, they were solid. They were good. And then in 2010s, it starts to teeter off a little bit, but man, they still got some really quality wins in that stretch. They shut out Bama at Bama 21-0 in the early 2000s. Won at Oklahoma State at Boone Pickett Stadium there, 28-6. Swept Oklahoma State actually in a home and home. Put it on a lot of these teams. I got 2 pages of stuff. Of course, beat NC State, the pussy pack there. And I mean, most recently, they beat Kentucky in I think 2018 or 19 at Kentucky 44-35. That's the first game on the schedule this season. But man, that's what I mean. The proof's in the pudding. Like historically, this has been a badass Group of 5. It's teetered off a little bit. But what do you think the best win there is? It's probably the Bama one. Right? Yeah, I'm looking at Bama. Was that the season before Saban took over?
I think it was a year or two before Saban.
Yeah, I was thinking like 05, 05, 06 or 04, 05, something like that. Yeah, I think that's the best win. I mean, obviously going up and matching the physicality of Alabama and those guys that they had. And I thought I think that's the best win. I mean, if you go into Alabama and win anytime, that's a great win.
They did win at Nebraska. So, I mean, they got some blue blood. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's just, they got to get back to those ways. The offense a season ago, 95th in scoring offense, 23.2 points a game. Hence why they hired a new offensive coordinator. They're 97th in yards, 101st in passing, 58th in rushing. And that's really the thing to me. They just haven't had good quarterback play under Will Hall. You know what I mean? Ever really, I feel like under Will Hall. And that's kind of been the difference, I think, in them being a legit contender in this conference, because some of the years the defense was good, not last year, but some of the years the defense was solid. The rushing attack has been good. They've been kind of a physical team. It's just they haven't been able to throw the ball at all. Which one stands out to you the most? A lot of these numbers are bad.
Yeah, I think they all do, but I think you can pretty much kind of not throw them out, but you can kind of look at them a little bit lighter because of what they had as far as personnel wise. I think coming in, you actually have a quarterback who's shown. I mean, he's played in several games, played in a big game, a couple of big games at Florida State. So he's got the pedigree there. I mean, obviously from high school. So I think getting him in and adding more balance to the team is big for them, and it'll help their defense immensely. But I mean, I'm just hoping that they can stay healthy, man, because if anything happens to Rodemaker, I mean, they might not win a game.
Yeah. And I know the slide says defense. That's my fuck up. It's actually the offense here. But yeah, I would agree. The offense does bring 4 starters back: Ty Mims, tight end Justin Reed, and 2 offensive linemen, and kicker Andrew Stein. I mean, there's 2 ways to look at that. Like, your offense was so bad, get everybody out. Obviously, you would like to have Frank Gore Jr. back, but he's gone. And maybe like the other guys weren't that good, and now you can go out and get those guys that you want. Because when I look at what they did in the portal, first off, they didn't really lose anybody besides Scott on the offensive line. They didn't really lose anyone of substantial. I mean, Austin Gonzalez, quarterback, heads out to Colorado School of Mines. Love the School of Mines there, but I mean, these guys, I don't think were gigantic hits besides Jerquan Scott going to Ole Miss. But look what they brought in. Tate Rodemaker, who you were alluding to. To me, you already won the portal right there.
Yep.
Right there. You won the portal. You actually got a quarterback that I think can flourish in this system. And by far, at least the most talented on paper quarterback you've had in a while. And then I kind of like what they did. Dennis Jackson from Missouri. There's no shame in being a backup Missouri wide receiver when you have the Theo Weiss and Luther Burden Jr. starting there.
Yeah.
And Blaylock, the third guy, right?
Oh my God. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he might be actually pretty damn good, and we just don't know. Also, Larry Simmons from Ole Miss, he's projected to start coming in. Also brought in Kyron Heath from Ole Miss as well. And then 2 on the offensive line that I think are important here, because Zach Conti's projected to start, and we'll see about the LSU transfer Cryer. I think they did a really good job winning the portal on the offensive side of the ball. Would you agree?
Yeah, I do. I agree. Especially, I mean, when you get a quarterback of Tate Rodemaker's stature to come to a group of 5 school, I think that's an automatic win, step down in competition for him. You get 2 unproven but highly touted wide receivers, and they're going to be, relied upon first day. So I think if they can come in and compete and help Rodemaker out, that'll be great for their offense. I mean, and it adds to their running game because they want to be a power running team. I know Chip Long kind of wants to pass the ball a little bit more, but I think their identity in the past has been, maybe it's by choice because they had no quarterback, but they've been running the ball and they've had success. Even when teams know they're running the ball, they've still had some success in being able to get downhill and get the offense going on the ground. So yeah, I think it's an overall win for the offense.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if their NIL collective stepped up because I feel like years previously they
Call
would
Brett
lose.
Favre up.
Yeah, well, I mean, man, I mean, look, I'm all in on football, but not that all in on football. Like I would like to ask him. I would like to ask him a few questions. I'll put it like that.
I got a few myself.
Yeah. I mean, we laugh. It's fun. That was one of the
But it's fucked up though,
shady, fucked up story. But
Yeah.
hopefully, they do have good fans down there, man. At Southern Miss. All right, so like, I can see them being like, we're tired of these losing ways. Let's get some stuff going now. You know, I will say also, like, if you're at the university, you're not going to ask where this money's coming from.
Absolutely not.
You know what I mean? Like but at the same time, someone's got some explaining to do. I'll say that someone's got some explaining to do. But yeah, I mean, the offensive side of the ball, I think, is going to be improved. And so you got Rodemaker at the QB spot, Drake Clark at the running back spot, obviously going to be filling the shoes of Frank Gore Jr. I think if you're looking for DFS plays, I think he might be very undervalued early on. Ty Mims is back at the receiver spot to go with Simmons and Jackson and Davis Dalton. And then they got a couple tight ends that I think they should be excited about. I kind of think I can see the offense working, even though they're throwing everybody together. Mm-hmm. I can see this offense working. Kind of talk about the defensive side of the ball, but before we do that, I want to tell you that the college football experience, Southern Miss Golden Eagle style, is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. As Underdog Fantasy Pick'em gives you a chance to win 1,000 times the amount of money you enter, or play fantasy football the right way with Best Ball. I've been waiting for college football Best Ball for like 20 years. Underdogs finally loaded up this year. We have it. Best Ball Mania is live with $15 million in prizes. Myself, Moneyline Mac, NC Nick dropped an episode regarding this where we did a live draft. So check it out, folks, on this very feed, the College Football Experience. You can now use specials and boost on all flexed entries as well at Underdog Fantasy. So jump on over there, sign up. And when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Circa Survivor and Circa Millions. Yes, Circa Sports is back with Circa Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. Imagine the regret you'll feel if you win your office survivor pool, but didn't enter the Circa Survivor because you would have been a millionaire. If you don't have a trip booked yet for Las Vegas before football season, Ultimate Contest Weekend is a great time to go out. You can hang with my pals, Stacking the Money Green and Real Money Kramer, and CJ Sullivan, the bet detective from the Bottom Line Bombs, and enjoy some of the open bar events at the greatest sports book in the world, August 22nd to August 24th. Use the promo code SGP15 as well to save you 15% off your hotel room for that weekend. Sign up in person at Circa Sports between now and September 7th and use a proxy to play from anywhere. We even have a deal with a proxy. Go to proxy.footballcontest.com to save you $50 with the promo code SGP. Don't forget you get a free hat with that. Jump on over there. All right, back talking Southern Miss football. Shout out to Hunter Vick in the chat. Colby, are you going to do a best bets for the lower level conferences like you did with the bigger ones? Yes, you know it. Got that scheduled. We're gonna, I think, working out the schedule because NC Nick is traveling back from a family vacation. But I know Wednesday we are slated to do the AAC and Sunbelt best bets. And I believe some other day in the next, 6-7 days, we will have the Conference USA and MAC as well as Independence. So, we got you covered here on the College Football Experience. Back to Southern Miss though, the defense, they look, and this is the thing that really teetered off. And I think the offense wasn't that great the year before, but the defense was kind of nasty the year before. Last season, it teetered off. 125th in scoring per game, dead last in the Sun Belt, 109th in yards, third to last in the Sun Belt. Pass defense was 8th, which I think is something to circle because with some guys coming back, maybe that could be something that stays solid. 111th in rush defense, second to last in the Sun Belt. What in the hell is happening over there at Hattiesburg? That's why they went out and got Clay Bignell, a new DC. So, okay. 6 starters are back. 2 on the defensive line, Kristen Booth and Jalen Williams. 2 in the linebacking core with Jalil Clemens and Dylan Lawrence. And the secondary's got 2 back in corner Michael Caraway and free safety MJ Daniels. Also, punter Bart Edmiston is back. Look, I know it's a new DC, so they're learning a new defense, but you can't be worse than a year, a year ago. And the DC was pretty damn good at Eastern Illinois. The Panthers and the FCS. For a deeper dive on that, check out the FCS college football experience. But I mean, 6 starters back is more encouraging than the offensive side of the ball. The problem is that they weren't very good last season, but the pass defense was better than the rush defense. So we've kind of hinted at this on other shows. It's kind of turning into a passing conference with Texas State, Georgia Southern. We got Marshall going to the air raid. Ricky Ronnie's been throwing it around there in Norfolk, and we'll see what happens with South Alabama and Troy. Maybe that could bid well for them. The portal, they only lost 1 guy, and he didn't even land at a school yet, as far as we could tell. Benny Garner. That's what it makes me think they had some NIL. I could be full of shit, but dude, look what they did in the portal here. This was super impressive to me.
They took Mistake's whole team.
I know. Well, they were good on defense.
Yeah, they
with
were.
Barnett. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so I'm like, wait, they brought in 4 defensive linemen from Mississippi State and Ryan Johnson from Akron to go. And then in the linebacker core, Dante Kelly from Vanderbilt. Desmond Baker was pretty good at Western Kentucky. That's a nice get. Trey Pinkney comes in from Coastal. You get 2 safeties, another one from Mississippi State, Will James and Braxton Myers. Am I just foolish to just all of a sudden say that? Well, first off, we know they dominated the portal.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, to me, when you add an offense where you got your quarterback and some skill players, this is the first year I think under Will Hall where they really won the portal. I would say they lost the previous years. So this has me a little bit encouraged that they can make this thing work. Now, obviously it's plug and play because you don't have the luxury of having a bad season. But this is encouraging, right? What do you think of this defense?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely encouraging, especially when you get Power 5 SEC, type of talent. And those guys is coming in from Mid-State. And I think you hit on it as far as we've talked about it throughout the Sun Belt previews that the offenses are going to be down. So that indeed raises the floor for the defenses. And I think specifically for Southern Miss that their offense was just so bad that it put the defense in, disadvantages. So I think with a more inept offense and a better scheme, kind of get them off the field or keep them off the field for a little bit longer, I think that'll improve their defense altogether, along with, some of these, superior talents that they have in. I kind of worried about the secondary depth, but other than that, man, you can't complain with the amount of transfers in versus the transfers out. I think you're an automatic win if you only have 1 transfer out and you bring in this type of this caliber talent coming in. I think automatic win.
I was really impressed when putting together the slides here. YouTube.com/the college experience. Let's talk about this win total, because 4.5. Look, I know I mentioned this, earlier this episode, but to me, someone's got to win the games. And this is one of the teams I would circle as saying, you got a coach that I actually think is a good football coach. He's proven it at 3 other stops, or, 2 other stops. And the other coaches that employed him have all been pretty successful. So I'm kind of buying in that last year was just a random blemish, quarterback injuries. And maybe because I've been searching for that team in the Sun Belt that's going to win more games than I think. And I've been searching, you know what I mean? I'm like, this conference, I know that App State and Texas State are going to be solid. I think, maybe some of these other schools, I know me and you have done a lot of these Sun Belt previews, and I'm just like, who the fuck is it going to be that could step up and emerge as a contender? This one might be the one. We'll take a look at the schedule. They're plus 4,000 to win the Sun Belt championship. They're plus 30,000 to make the 12-team playoff, and plus 50,000 there to, and I think that might even be 500,000. I think I might have fucked that up to win the Natty. First reaction on 4.5. And by the way, I should note that I believe the juice on that. Let me see if I can quickly pull it up, because I I do so many of these that I noted in my head what it was and then I forgot it already. But what's your first reaction when you see 4.5 wins?
First reaction, slightly too low. I'm like at 5.3, so I'm almost at 5.5 on the win total when I do my my math and my numbers for it. So, I mean, I just obviously think that I can get the schedule. Like the schedule is kind of difficult, especially on the road. But if some of those pieces hit and you're able to scare a few of those teams early on in the schedule, and I think you can build that confidence going in. And if Rodemaker can stay upright, man, I think that's an automatic improvement from last year's team. And they won 3 last year with Frank Gore at quarterback. So I think you only can improve with that and the defense taking another step. Got a new system coming in. Obviously, it's going to be hot seat for Hall. So I think he'll put extra emphasis on getting those guys prepared and buttoned up. So yeah, man, I'm leaning towards that over, but yeah, that's my first glance. I would go over. I would lean over.
Yeah, and they're plus 135 to the over too. So Vegas is minus 160 to the under. Vegas
he can get to 5 and still lose his job though.
That's true. That is true. But let's talk about Rodemaker for a second. Okay, like we know Jordan McLeod, the Sun Belt Player of the Year at the quarterback spot, left for Texas State, so he's still in the conference. So he's what I'm trying to do right here is just a quick exercise on will they have like a top 5 quarterback in this league? Because after that, Grayson McCall's gone. You do have Aguilar at App State, which is I think a solid quarterback. You got kind of uncertainty there at Georgia Southern, kind of uncertainty at Marshall. I kind of like the ODU QB situation. We'll see who gets the start, but then you look around. Well, Arkansas State's
Rainer,
QB, he's a baller. Yeah. But my point is it's kind of like, what are we doing at Troy and South Alabama? We'll find out. But I feel like on paper, just blindly, he would be a top 5 quarterback in this league.
I 100% agree. I mean, you just rattled off the only like 3 guys that I think are clearly, and I mean, I'll say this. I agree. McLeod is the class of the quarterback here, and Aguilar is second. But I mean, we don't know what Rainer's going to do in the sophomore. He's got expectations now. They're expecting him to do something. Last year,
but on paper, he'd probably be what, 3rd best quarterback in the league?
Yeah, 3rd, 4th. I think it's fair. Yeah.
Well, my point is Rodemaker comes in after some years at Florida State. He could really be, one of the better quarterbacks in this league. Now, I don't expect him to be the best, but this is something Southern Miss hasn't had in a long time. So I tend to just think if he stays healthy, let's cash this over. Let's take a look at the schedule. But before I do that, I want to tell you folks out there that the college football experience, Southern Miss season previews brought to you by Rhythm. Football season's here, and the college football and NFL models are now live on Rhythm. You can create your own winning betting model, or you can let Rhythm do the heavy lifting for you. You can decide for you, what stats matter most, and Rhythm will build a custom model around that. Or you could just sit back and say, Rhythm, build me all that stuff. They'll do all the heavy lifting for you. Rhythm uses AI projections from MIT data scientists and quants, and Rhythm already has you covered for NFL Week 1 and college football Week 0. I like the Yellow Jackets plus the points against Florida State there in Dublin. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. We're also brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is now an authorized ticket marketplace of the MLB, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets the first pitch with killer last minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. So what are you doing? Obviously the World Series getting closer and closer. Check out the MLB gambling podcast, but yeah, you're going to a game, you're going to a Braves game. You better pull out that Game Time app. Or if you're just going to the Rock in Hattiesburg for all sports or comedy, if you're going to see, whoever's coming to Mississippi there, coming to Hattiesburg, going to a Saints game, doesn't matter. All right, pull out that Game Time app. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the redeeming code CFBX for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, terms apply. Redeeming code CFBX for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, we're back talking Southern Miss. Timothy Green in the chat saying this is a 7-5 team this year. I will say this: they did win at Kentucky in the past 5 years. There, I think it's 5 years or maybe 6. And I believe the return game on that, they were winning for a while, and Kentucky pulled away in the 4th.
Yeah, they were.
I think this is a game, dude. This is a big number. I still got to lean Kentucky, but I'm taking those points. It's like 27 points or something I saw. I forget the exact number, but it was like in the 20s. I'm not sold on Kentucky being like super legit yet.
Oh wow, you're not. See, I like Kentucky.
I still think they were in the SEC East where you could pad a couple wins against South Carolina, Vanderbilt, and then you schedule 3 MAC schools in Murray State, and you can dress up. You can dress up a 6-7 win season. I mean, obviously, I can't say Stoops has done a bad job there, but you look at some of those matchups they've had against Northern Illinois or Eastern Kentucky, and those things were 1-score games over the past couple of years, right? So I just feel like Southern Miss could give them a game if Rodemaker's really hitting like we think, but because it's in Commonwealth Stadium there in Lexington, I gotta take Kentucky. Any chance you're going for the upset?
No, I'm going with Kentucky. I think the secondary will get with those receivers. Kentucky's got one of the better underrated group of receivers, I think, in the country, with Brown and those guys. So I think that breaking in a new secondary with the lack of depth that Southern Miss has, I think the first game they'll get exposed a little bit. So I like Kentucky there.
All right, then week 2 they were getting Sela, who only won 3 games in the FCS last year, but the year before that they were pretty good. And I was just doing a little bit of a dive before the episode. Lost a lot of 1-score games the season ago. So Sela, dangerous opponent to me. I do think they'll be in the mix for the FCS playoffs this year, but Southern Miss, and that's another thing that should factor in the handicap, and it hasn't been working as much. But if I had to rank the better fans, harder places to win because of the fans, Southern Miss is kind of at the top of this league. Now, I mean, App State would come in.
Yeah.
I think Georgia Southern packs a good crowd. I think Louisiana packs a good crowd, but in that mix, and I know Texas State's emerging, Troy's emerging, Southern Miss has got a good fan base. So like when I look at that South Florida game week 3, I think South Florida is better, but I'm a little intrigued about the spot. Because those AAC teams don't have a lot of lit environments, right? Like that's the downfall of the AAC is like, you're playing at Rice where like 300 people will come out. You know what I mean? Like now besides Tulane and Memphis and ECU, I feel like there's not many, like Charlotte, not there yet as far as like a lit environment. My point is there's just not many, you know what I mean? So that makes that game kind of tricky for the young quarterback, Byron Brown there, but I have to favor South Florida, but I'm intrigued about that game. What are you doing there?
Yeah, I'm going with South Florida here just because of the secondary. I think it'll take up into that bye to kind of get the secondary, up to speed and kind of tweaking some of those things that they want to be done in the later parts of the season. So I took South Florida on the South Florida preview, but I do think it'll be a closer game than what some predict, just because, Southern Miss at home, South Florida in a hostile environment. And I think they're coming off of a tougher game, but the game before. So I'll be taking the points to Southern Miss, but I think South Florida get them. So I got them at 1 and 2 right now.
Yeah, I think South Florida is it Miami the game before?
Might be.
Yeah. And then this non-con is no joke though. Because now you head to Jacksonville, Alabama to take on Rich Rodriguez at Jacksonville State. I mean, I lean 1 and 3, but if you could just get there 2 and 2, whether it's South Florida, whether it's Jacksonville State, but I lean 1 and 3. How about you?
Yeah, I'm leaning 1 and 3, but I think they can upset Jacksonville State because Jacksonville State is not a potent passing team. They're relying on a lot of the ground game, and with Clemens up front and a lot of those SEC guys coming in, I think they'll be able to hold up okay up front. It's just that can they handle the speed and getting those guys in and out with the system? I mean, with the pace that Rich Rod runs. So I'm gonna go Jacksonville State, but I would not be surprised if Southern Miss upsets them.
Yeah, I just think if you can get to 2-2 in that before that first bye week,
yeah,
I think you're setting yourself up for a run. They come out of the bye week September 28th. They are home to Louisiana. I don't remember what I did on Louisiana preview, but I think Southern Miss is going to beat them here. I'm not sold on Desamoreau and Louisiana. Give me Southern Miss to get that second win of the season here and start off Sunbelt play with a dub. How about you?
Yep, I think I took Southern Miss in the Louisiana podcast. They're coming off of that. They're coming off a bye week. I think you are going to stack up 2 good performances, even though their losses going into the bye week, which is going to build even more confidence going in. You tweak some things, you come out. Louisiana, all you got to do is keep it close. We know what the coaching staff is. They're losing those close games. So I think Southern Miss pulls it off, and they're going a little bit of a streak here.
Yeah, I like this because now they go to Malone Stadium. They're in Monroe, Louisiana, and I think they beat ULM.
Yeah.
So give me another win, back-to-back wins, 2-0 in conference play, sitting there at 3-3. You agree?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think ULM is obviously the bottom team in the conference, and I think that confidence coming off that bye and getting a big win over a big opponent, coming in. Maybe you want to take some ULM first half until Southern Miss, shakes off the cobwebs and get things going off of that emotional big win. But overall, I think they'll come in and get the dub. So I like Southern Miss.
Yeah, and I tend to think, and that's a weeknight game, I believe. So then they get Arkansas State at the Rock. Give me another upset.
Yeah,
give me another upset. They went 3 in a row. They went 3 in a row here. We got them 4-3, and then they're heading into Harrisonburg, Virginia. So you're with me on the Arkansas State upset?
I am, because Arkansas State will be coming off of a road trip to Texas State, so they'll be coming off of that. Going into Southern Miss will be their second straight road game. You got Troy on deck before you get to a bye. So I do think that that they handle business. That Southern Miss handle business here.
Yeah, and 4-3, and then they head to Harrisonburg, Virginia. Now I did the JMU preview last night with Patty C. Go listen to that. I have JMU winning that game, but man, JMU is about the hardest team to project. There's like 2 starters back on their whole goddamn roster, let alone team. You know what I mean? There are 2 players. There's like hardly any players were with the team last season. So like, I just think Bridgeforth is a tough place to win. I do believe that the Chesney hire is encouraging. I think he's a good football coach. So like, I lean JMU, but not by that much.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like JMU in the spot. I would rather get them at the top of October, end of September, versus getting them at the end of October right now, man. I think that whenever Chesney gets these guys, continuity and they start rolling, I think they'll be a tough cover. Especially with, you're coming off of 3 straight W's, 3-0 in the conference. I think it's gonna be a big spot for JMU at home. Raucous environment, man. Maybe we can get there with Patty C, and he can get us some tickets to go to that game.
Let's go. Yeah, so that puts about 4-4 for both of us. We're seeing eye to eye on this. They get a bye, and then they're home to Marshall. They're going to beat Marshall at the Rock.
Sir.
I got them 5-4. We cash the over right here, which is plus 130, folks. And I'll be honest, right now with 1 loss, they're in a spot to potentially get to the Sun Belt Championship. Now, the bad news is they got to go to San Marcos next week, but 5-4, you agree?
Yeah, I do. I definitely agree. I think we both took them to beat Marshall on the Marshall podcast as well.
Yeah, I got them going to San Marcos though and losing.
Absolutely, I do too. Yeah, I think Texas State is kind of going to be like a juggernaut by this time as well.
So 5-5. They're home to South Alabama. Major Applewhite, the new head coach. I mean, give me a win. Give me a 6th win.
Yeah, I got them upset in South Alabama. I'm not sold on South Alabama at all. I don't like the coaching staff. I don't like. They lost a ton of players as well, so they'll be implementing a new scheme, new system. Southern Miss, it'll be freezing down there by that time. So I think they'll come in and they'll be able to get the win. So I like Southern Miss to get the 6th win.
And then they're at Troy. You know what? Fuck it. Give me a 7th win. I'm with Timothy Green. Give me a 7. I mean, that's a fit. I mean, I would, you got to favor like Troy by a field goal, but like, I just feel like there's got to be something about the continuity. All these other schools, how many new head coaches are getting on this fucking schedule? I feel like they're getting
1, 2, 3, 4. They got 4 in conference. You got Troy, South Alabama, Marshall, JMU. Everybody else. And ULM. So that's 5.
Yeah. Well, what? No, Marshall Huff's still there, but you have to.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You got a big shift to the air raid.
Yeah.
Still, I mean, this is the team that's going to benefit. Give me 7 and 5. I'm with Timothy Green in the chat. All right, and I actually think this. I might lock this thing because, like, what's the like? I don't even know. Besides Texas State and Kentucky, is there 100? Like, the ceiling is what? 9 and 3, 10 and 2. Am I crazy to say that?
Kentucky, JMU, Texas State. Yeah, so I guess 8. If you, I mean, because I think Troy will beat them at the end of the year, but I mean, I can see them winning that game. So I think 8 is maybe the ceiling.
Yeah, I mean, to me, if you go 7 and 5, even 6 and 6, I think you keep him for another year.
Yeah, depending on how that 6 and 6 looks. I mean, obviously, you can't lose to ULM. You can't lose to Marshall. Yeah, I would think you got to beat one of those big boys between Louisiana, Texas State, JMU. You got to beat at least one of those guys there to kind of.
What's the floor?
If you're 6 and 6.
What's the floor?
Floor, I think, is 5 and 7.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think it's 5 and 7. I think Vegas, you're still hitting that over.
Yeah, I'm locking that.
I'll lock it up with you. Let's go. Double lock. Southern Miss over 4.5 plus 130. Shop via drop, customers. Fascinated by this. Now, I will say this. We said the floor is 5 and 7. Do we worry about that second bye week? They could fire him and then the buy-in.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. But I mean, so if you go, I think the only thing is you can't get blown away by South Florida and Jacksonville State. You got to be competitive there.
Yeah.
Got to be competitive. That's the only thing that I'm worried about. If they're getting their doors blown off by both of those teams, then I think it's trouble. And then I think they come out of the bye. Maybe they give them until, because that stretch between Louisiana, ULM, Arkansas State, JMU, that's a 3-1 stretch that we had. So if they can get them there, then I think it'll be fine. So if you can get out of that first spot, be competitive. Like I said, because I think Jacksonville State is a very gettable game because of their style that they play and the strength of Southern Miss's defense is going to be up front. It was last year. You bring in a lot of reinforcements on the defensive line.
We had him 4 and 4 in that second bye week, so I don't think they would can him then. But if he's 2 and 6.
Yeah,
that might be a problem. That might be a problem, but I still
unless Rodemaker gets hurt or something though. Like if he gets hurt, I think he gets another mulligan.
Yeah, as he should, I think. But I'm on the over. I feel pretty good about it. Lante's on the over. Let's go. Give Lante a follow on Twitter at XXLanteXX. Check out all of his writing at sportsgamblingpodcast.com. Check out the MLB gambling podcast, the NBA gambling podcast. As obviously both those, I mean, we're MLB. You want to be checking out. Maybe you haven't been paying attention. The season's heating up. You want to check it out right now. Also, NBA is right around the corner too, so check them out. Also, I'm on Twitter at TheColbyD. The College Football Experience is on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. Let us know what you think about Southern Miss this season. YouTube.com/The College Experience. Get on over there and look. That's the hub for all of our stuff. I host the FCS College Football Experience. I host the College Basketball Experience with Moneyline Mac and company, and where. When the season goes live, we're talking college hoops every single night of the season, but even in the off season, doing coaching interviews right now. Check that out. And then the College Baseball Experience. Southern Miss keeps a great college baseball program. Check that out. Noah Beanick's always doing great work there. The Stadium Heads podcast. Yes. Roberts Stadium, The Rock there, where we talk about the history of college football and then their stadiums. the one of our favorite stadiums there. So go check it out. We do a deep dive on all the Sunbelt stadiums. Maybe you're thinking about making a Sunbelt trip. We talk every stadium in the nation, but go listen to the Sunbelt episode for more on the Real Rock in Hattiesburg there. All of those podcasts come together as one. YouTube.com/The College Experience. Also Stadium Heads, YouTube.com/@Stadium Heads SGPN. Get on over there. Check it out. Check out the Sports Gambling Podcast as well. We're both on the over with the Southern Miss Golden Eagles. Let's fly high. All right. This is the College Football Experience. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
Run and shoot. We can really run and shoot.